Okay, Nick and Andy, the USMNT roster for the Olympics has dropped. Obviously, the first time in a long time that the US men's team are going to be there. What are your thoughts, Nick, on these 18 players? Obviously, a couple of maybe surprises. We've got the overage players in there, but pretty decent squad and a lot of players there with experience overseas and in MLS already.
Yeah, it is. My feeling on it is that the team is good. The team is good. They can do damage at this tournament, and I have no problem with the actual overage players either. And two of them being center backs who have played together is awesome. And Mihailovic I like as well. So I think it's all smart. I think it's all with an element of wisdom to it. And then you start to look around and you realize the players who were released, France with Lacazette and Mateta, and they also have Elise and Cherki. Argentina getting Julian Alvarez and Otamendi, Naby Keita, Achraf Hakimi, and you realize, all right, I like those wise decisions, but what about Yunus Musa? Like who could have been released here? And I don't, not that he would even be overage at this point, but yeah, I want them to medal. And right now, I think they have a puncher's chance to do so. Is there someone else who could have been released, who would have taken the gig, who would give them a better chance? So this is a team that can compete. This is a team that can get out. But I think this is a medal. There's medal capabilities here, and that excites me. I could be a little bit more excited.
Yeah, Andy, I think that's the overall feeling, right? When you're looking around at the star US players, and probably a lot of them would have wanted to play, but maybe it's their club situation in Europe and preseason tours, the rest of it already played at Copa America, where the balance has had to be struck here. But, Robinson, Zimmerman, Mihailovic, all being in that squad, they'll be the sort of heart of this team here. But, even Busio and Tanner Tessman have had great seasons at Venezia, getting promoted to Serie A again. So there is a lot of really good experience here overall. Maybe just the US will be sort of sneaky good at this tournament, and maybe a bit of a under the radar team.
Yeah, I know it's still a bit of ways, and maybe that's why, but there's not been a lot of talk or hype about this team, going into this tournament. And part of that is it's not been a team that's been together collectively as a unit at all up until this point. And they'll have a little bit of time before the tournament, but I like the makeup of what you've got here. It's always going to be tough when you've got just an 18-man roster, because you're not going to have depth. You're not going to have a lot of versatility or different options at different positions. You've got a starter at every position, and you've got a backup at every position. Some positions, guys are going to kind of fill in at multiple spots. And so it's a difficult tournament to plan for and to play in and to compete in and to win as well. But this for me strikes a really nice balance of like you said, Joe, established players in Europe who have been professionals for a number of years and have a lot of experience under their belt, and some good MLS players who are still coming up and probably use this tournament as a launching point into Europe themselves. And so it feels like while the senior team is stuck in the mud a little bit and spinning their tires, it feels like what we've got going on below the senior level is lifting the tide just a little bit as we go here. And the fact that they're in the Olympics again for the first time in what feels like forever, that to me right there is exciting enough, or is reason enough to get excited about this team at the Olympics.
Yeah, it's really true, and we're all really excited. Obviously, you can watch all the US games and all the Olympic soccer games, men's and women's, on NBC Sports and Peacock. All of our channels and platforms will have you covered for Paris 2024 this summer. Nick, when we talk about what's achievable for this US men's national team representing Team USA this summer, it seems like getting out of the group should be pretty easy. Obviously, you mentioned France. They open up with a game against France in Marseille, which will be really tough. But I'm just looking at if they finish as runners-up in Group A, then it looks like it's probably going to be Argentina in the knockout rounds there, straight up. So not an easy path for this young team whatsoever.
No, not an easy path, especially you mentioned starting with France, right? It's not midway through the group. It's not after you've banked 3 points. It's after Guinea and New Zealand presumably have a winner or a drawers. But again, you're going to face, if you get out of the group, Argentina, Morocco, Iraq, Ukraine. We know that the first game of a tournament, conversely, to play the devil's advocate, can always be a little weird one as people are feeling each other out. And the U.S. have two center backs who are very familiar with each other and a goalkeeper who is extremely highly rated at Chelsea, who knows where he'll be, by the end of this tournament, and probably looking to keep himself in the store window. So I don't know. I avoid Argentina, then deal with Hakimi, and maybe we're talking about playing for a medal, and that's really exciting. And I don't know. I am amped up for this. And guys, I leave our shores of pro soccer talk to work the Olympics. This is as much as I've looked forward to soccer at the Olympics, maybe ever. Maybe ever, because of the tumult in a good way on the women's team and what we're going to see there. So bring it on. Fast forward it, because I was expecting to still be watching the U.S. at this point.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, Nick mentioned it there. We're all very excited about this. This is the first time the U.S. men's national team have qualified since Beijing in 2008. So it's been a long old time to wait for this. But I guess we're most excited about what this generation can take from this experience, because for the last, 16 years, there hasn't been this experience for players coming through. So what do you think is achievable? Because I'm with Nick. I think they could easily, if they picked up a bronze medal, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it's been a missing step in the development path for young American players for 2 generations now, really, if you think about it. And if you look at where some of the results for the senior team have slowly declined over time, it's not to say that Olympic football is the end-all be-all of youth development, but it is certainly an important tournament, and just the experience that you get in that tournament. I expect them to get out of the group as well. France obviously is going to be a very, very tough opener. I think we're going to see 2 or 3 names, one of them being Desiree Doué from France, explode onto the scene for the rest of the world in this tournament, and so it might look a little rough in that first game. But if they are strong mentally and they believe in what they're doing, they will rebound in those final 2 games and I think get out of the group. And at that point, I mean, you go straight into a quarterfinals. You're 3 games or you're 2 games from a medal potentially, playing for a medal, and 3 games from winning it all. So small tournaments like this are there's a lot of variance and there's a lot of possible outcomes. So I'm going to enjoy it. I really am going to enjoy this, because it always felt, I don't know, it felt cheap to watch the Olympic soccer without the U.S. in it, because we should have been there. The way that we didn't qualify for a number of years was so frustrating, and we just found new, incredible ways to not get there. And so the fact that we did it, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Olympic soccer, we'll have you covered on Pro Soccer Talk and, of course, all of the NBC Sports platforms this summer. The U.S. men's national team roster has been named. They're heading to Paris and across France. Let's see how they get on. Go, USA.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.